This isn't just another podcast. We're crushing the taboos and we're rewriting the rules. It's the space where we normalize women becoming wealthy. If you're done playing small and ready to become the CEO of your life and the architect of your future, then my girl, you're in the right room. Welcome to your wealthy era. Welcome to the Wealthy CEO podcast.
Today's guest is a woman who's built not one, but 3 7-figure businesses, all while raising a family, leading with faith, and staying rooted in her purpose. Abby McMaster is a powerhouse mentor, founding affiliate with Make Wellness, and a voice for women who are ready to align, scale, and live fully in their purpose. Let's get into it. Today, I get to welcome Abby to the Wealthy CEO podcast. Thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. We're going to have so much fun.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you today. Obviously, you are a powerhouse woman, first and foremost, and I love sitting down with women who are moms, who have built things, done the things, taken risks. And not only have you built one, but you've built 3 7-figure businesses.
Yes,
and you don't look anywhere close to even 40. So, actually, and friends, I'll tell you, I don't even know how old Abby is, but this is what I'm saying. I'm like, you don't even look 40 and you've built 3 7-figure businesses, which is incredible. So before we get into the how, like today, I would love for you to just take us back a little bit and even like in your businesses, because I think part of being able to grow and scale to the levels you have, there's usually like a moment where you realize like, yes, there's an opportunity. Business is still business, but there's actually something more, and that you find like you root yourself in purpose that drives you.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to let's start there at that induction.
I love that so much because purpose is like my favorite thing ever, because I feel like the only true way you can be successful is if you actually have a purpose and a why to do it, right? Like if you don't have that identified and defined, it's going to be very difficult to be successful. Right. And so you also have to be willing to let your purpose and your why grow and expand, because if it doesn't, you're going to stay complacent, right? So I really feel like it has to be number one for you in your business. And so when I got started, obviously my purpose, my why has evolved over time. But when I got started, I was a stay-at-home mom. My kids were 3 and 5. My husband was traveling all the time for medical device sales. But we were in a position where we were financially struggling. And I didn't really see a way out other than me go get a job, put the kids in daycare. And then it was kind of like, well, that didn't make sense because what I make is going to be going to daycare. So it was kind of, we were on this hamster wheel of like, what are we going to do? And I started realizing that if I did not make a change, that my kids were never going to be able to experience the life I wanted them to, because finances were going to dictate every decision we made. And I didn't want that. And I've always had a burning desire in me that I wanted to do something great, right? I didn't have a business degree. It took me 10 years to graduate college, right? Like I didn't have all this experience, but I did have a heart and I had a purpose. And so it was actually, one day, I shared this story many times, but it really was that defining moment for me that made the change for me. So I was at the grocery store with my daughter. She was 4, and I'm checking out, and I had been like dabbling in a business, right? So like I was in it, but I wasn't like serious, right? It was kind of like $500 was going to be great for us, right? That was my mentality at the time. But anyway, we're checking out at the grocery store, cart full of groceries, and I'm playing that game in my mind, like, is the debit card going to go through or decline? Because it's Wednesday and payday's Friday.
Got it.
And lo and behold, debit card declines. And I remember just being mortified because I have to make all the excuses of like, well, we've been having a hard time with this card. No, the problem was we had no money. Like that's why it was declining. The card was fine. But the worst part of the whole thing was my 4-year-old sitting there, she's looking at me, and I have to physically remove the popsicles from her hands that she was so excited to get. And like that right there, it gives me chills to this day, because that right there was the moment that I was like, done. I'm never doing this again. And so my purpose initially was get to a place where we have some extra finances at the end of the month. But then I started dreaming bigger, right? And then I started seeing people ahead of me having the life that I desired. And I immediately thought to myself, well, if they can do it, so can I, right? Like if they just did the steps that it takes and they were committed, like so can I. And so over time that just began evolving. And pretty soon I saw what being an entrepreneur, having a vision, having a purpose can do for your family. And so, now it's like my vision and purpose is just that financial freedom aspect, right? And why? Not because I'm looking to have all these finance. I mean, of course we all want money, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's not like I'm trying to do that selfishly because I want to go buy Prada and Gucci or any of those. It's because I want freedom of choices. I want freedom to say yes to the things that I want to say yes to and no to the things I want to say no to, but I don't say no because I have to.
Correct.
And so that's where that purpose and vision keeps going, because I realize that in order to live that life, I have to keep growing, I have to keep evolving, and I have to keep fighting.
I love that. What a powerful moment. Like, and even like for your daughter, how old is she now?
So she is 16. She'll be 17 and crazy. She'll be 17 in October.
Okay. Can I just ask, have you ever asked her if she remembers that?
You know what? That's funny. I've never asked her. I'm actually going to do that today. She's upstairs. I'm going to ask her that question. My son, though, he is 19. He's actually going to college next week and to play college baseball. And he remembers that. Like he remembers that story because he remembers the difference of the mom who came home from that grocery store that day. And so it's interesting that he definitely does. I've never asked her. I'm going to have to ask that.
Yeah. But like so powerful. And now looking at like the ripple effect of, and also just making this decision of going no more. And it is true. Like it's actually factual. Like when you look at other people who are doing the things that you would want to do, that is living proof that it's possible. Absolutely. Right. Like, and then there's the other side of people that is like, it is possible. And even though it hasn't been done, doesn't mean it can't be done. I'm going to be the mover and shaker to just prove that the impossible just means I'm possible. Absolutely. And I'm going to go get it. But we have so many examples of people all over where it's like, yep, it can be done. Yep, it can be done. Yep, it can be done. And you just have to decide. And so I love that. And I think a lot of people have this desire, of course, to have, and I don't know, Abby, if you relate, but I think especially in the realm, in the worlds that you have grown your businesses in, like it can be such a kitschy word to be like financial freedom. Like everyone wants financial freedom, and we could even unpack, like, it's not even so much financial freedom. There's these feelings and these experiences that you're wanting underneath that, whether that's security, peace of mind, feeling powerful, feeling confident, right? Like there's a lot of like, how do you want to feel by having what we would call financial freedom? And I always say you can make money so many different ways. And I think this is the disconnect for a lot of people as they go, I want to have financial freedom. And they try something and it doesn't work. And then they're afraid, or they go, okay, well then, it must not be possible for me. And then that's the narrative that happens. And I know that, you speak a lot around alignment and leadership. And so like, let's call it like the alignment test, because that's really where I think longevity success lies, because you can do anything for a short period of time. You could give it 200%, make a decent amount of money, get burnt out, flatline, whatever it is. And you'd be like, okay, I'm like done with this quote unquote financial freedom thing. Right. But for a woman who is building a business, but feeling like stuck or hasn't stepped into that financial freedom, what part does that play? And what would that look like in action?
No, that's so good. And I think the biggest thing that you have to remember going into anything that you do, right, is there's going to be more obstacles that you're going to experience than not. And I think people forget that. And so my biggest advice always to people is you go in there without the end in sight. There's not the finish line. There's not like, if I don't get here by the end of the year, then I'm just completely done, right? You have to say, I am doing this because I am doing this because. And so that's really where you just have to stay focused. I always say, like, think about horses, right? They have their blinders on. Why is that? Because they are going straight and they have distractions that they're looking around. Right. So when your blinders are on, you're only going straight, because like I said, I could have had 100 thousands of times I could have quit, right? But again, I remembered that if they can do it, so can I. Right. And that purpose and that desire was so important to me that nothing was going to stop me. And in fact, for the naysayers telling me that I shouldn't do it, I couldn't do it, wait till she just quits, right? It was almost like that other side of things of being like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. So you just have to stay focused, right? You just have to be determined and know nothing's going to stop you.
Yeah. Well, I love that you brought up that horse analogy and actually I used to part board, meaning like I basically leased a horse when I was younger. I used to ride. And so I love that you brought it up. Horses are like one of my spirit animals. And when you're talking about the blinders, like 100%, of course, for distractions. And it's also so that they don't get spooked, right? And I think about how that parallels to us as humans, like where we get afraid or something happens and we like fall down and then we're like, oh my God, people watched me fail, and getting back up in the embarrassment. And so it's like, stay in your lane and like, think of those blinders of like, not worrying about what other people's reactions are going to be. And I don't know if you share this, like when I think about alignment, we've all, and this is entrepreneur life as well. You're going to try certain things and some of it's going to work and some of it's not. And you have to get back up and you do it again and you learn how to pivot. And sometimes even like with clients, right? Like for me anyways, being in real estate, agents are commission driven. We are commission to commission. We don't have a salary, meaning like, we don't have a steady income coming in. And so agents are often, the biggest, I'm going to say they'll say yes to almost anything because they don't know when their next client's going to come, when their next deal is going to happen. And oftentimes that can be such an energy sucker. Like if you're not in alignment and you don't have this, like there's a good energy piece almost, you will find, not every single time, but pretty much every single time, there's like resistance or something is going wrong. And then you just find like you're coming home and you're extra exhausted. And so I look at that, and even whatever people are stepping into and wanting to build, even like we're going to dive into network marketing later too. Cause I think so many people, like it's an icky word for some people, and there's so many stereos and stigmas. And like, I know a lot of people who have done it phenomenally and other people that do it horribly. And you're going to have that in any business. Realtors, again, realtors have some of the worst reputations out there. Like there are more horrible agents than there are good agents, right? So it's in every industry. And I don't know why network marketing, it's like this, like, ooh, but it's like literally in everything. Direct sales. Hi, like I'm in direct sales. That's what we do as realtors, right? Like I'm selling to you directly, but I think like, rather than saying yes to the next shiny thing, right? And we saw this a lot, even like during COVID, right? With different things coming out with, what was it called? MRR, right? Like that was like a hot flash, right? It was like, there's all these shiny things that come out. And just because there's an opportunity to make money doesn't mean that that should be yes, and really sitting in going, does this actually fulfill my why? Right? My vision and my purpose, but also how does that resonate inside? Do you believe in it? Do you know the culture of the company? Do you believe are you using the product? Do you support it? There's all of these things that then allow you to step in with full confidence, which is part of your own alignment. And naturally that's when things start to build and grow for you. Like,
I totally agree with you. And I think it all comes back to like that confidence piece. I think that just like you said, especially in this day and age, there are so many things every day that you see like you can make money this way. I mean, there's never been more opportunities to make money online than there is now.
Right.
With that being said, though, when you are looking to build a business, when you are looking to build a serious business that can pay you, 6-7 figures, and that's just the reality of it. You have to be focused. You've got to be like, this is my number one. And that's not to say that you can't have affiliate links and things like that, right? Like, of course you can, but you have to be focused on the main thing. And I've discovered that when people try to have their hands in too many different buckets, they can't take anything seriously because they're just scrambling. And so for myself, it's interesting. I've always had my main thing, and people know what my main thing is, right? And so I don't really have people who come to me trying to offer me other opportunities because they know I am so focused on what I am doing, right? There's nothing else that I'm looking at because I am focused here. And so I would say for somebody who maybe is feeling frustrated, feeling like their business isn't moving as fast as they want it to be, and they start kind of looking around, like you got to reset yourself, right? You got to really like do an audit on yourself and say, okay, what have I not been doing that I was doing when it was working? right? What do I need to do to continue growing myself? Maybe I'm stagnant right now and I need to step in that next level of leadership, right? What are those areas versus just thinking another company is going to solve that problem, right? That's not going to solve the problem because you're going to get the same place there. And now this business is slowed down because you've been focused over here. Like if you believe in the product, you believe in the company, you believe in the culture, and you love what you do, don't look anywhere else.
Yeah.
Look at yourself and see, where can I grow? Where can I make a difference? And that's going to then grow your business.
So let me ask you, because you've built 3 different 7-figure businesses, and there obviously came a point where this thing that Abby was known for was going to take a pivot. Mm-hmm. And I would love for you to unpack for some people, because I agree very much with you that there's like so many people out there that they have their main thing and there's 4 side hustles and it's like very confusing and complicated. They want to go all in on something, but they don't really know. And they've been known for maybe one thing for such a long time. So how would you advise a woman who might be in that position where she does have a thing with a few other things and she's wanting to pivot and transition? And it's easy to say, well, just drop everything else and just focus on this one thing. But one of your things, actually, I'll use one of your lines, is leading with grit and grace. And so on the grace side of things, what would you advise maybe as like a first or second step to really actually make that pivot or transition?
I love that you asked that, because I think a lot of people, I'm all about staying focused and staying hungry in what you're doing. However, if you are not happy with what you're doing, if you do not feel fulfilled in what you're doing, if you do not see that as your future, then it is okay to pivot, right? Mm-hmm. And so I always say, you're not a tree, right? Like you can move, And so, but making sure that when you're making that move, it's for the right reasons. It's not just because the next shiny thing came over and you think that's the right thing. It's got to be because you genuinely feel that needs to happen. So the first thing I would say, my first company that I had to leave was because they changed the compensation plan and essentially wiped out our entire downline. So that was a forced move. That was not a choice move, right? Like that went from like a lot of money to like no money, So that was like we had to. The second time that I made a move, all right, so I had been with that company for about 4 years, I would say. And it was about January of 2024. And I just, in my heart of hearts, I knew it wasn't for me. Mm. I knew that the culture had changed. I knew that they had changed the products. I knew they were changing the compensation plan without telling anyone. And I got to a place for me that I genuinely could not bring somebody into that business and feel confident like I was doing good for them, right? Like if I brought somebody in, it was going to be selfish for me. And so what I did was I started really like pausing and slowing down. And, I was still obviously helping my team, but I wasn't actively growing. And I was really starting to like pray and evaluate what was my next move? What was I supposed to do? So it was not a jump. It was definitely something that took some time. And then the best thing I can tell somebody who's looking to pivot is I was honest. Right. I was honest about why I was making that decision. I didn't just jump on so excited about something else. I was truly transparent. I shared my feelings. I shared why I was making that move. I shared why it was the best decision for me. And I had found something else, and I will share soon about that. Okay. And I've had and who knows what people said in the background, I don't really care. But from the people who reached out to me, it was so many positive responses of thank you for being real. Thank you for being transparent, right? So then going to the next place, they knew I had taken time to really research that. I had taken time to make sure it was the right place for me. And I knew confidently that I wanted to go grow there and help people there because I knew the opportunity.
Right.
And so I think always being authentic and true is what people want. We live in a world where everyone wants to come across as being perfect, right? And so I really do pride myself in showing the real, right? Showing the good days. Majority of them are, but being willing to share when there's a bad day, And so I think when you can gain that trust factor from your followers, it can make a huge difference.
Well, and I think you nailed it, is like, being transparent, honest, but you're just sharing your story. Mm. And like, that's like life. And even what you said about if it no longer resonates with you, you're literally allowed to pivot. And there are some days, even for me right now, like, as you know, like, and most people know, I've recently stepped into motherhood and my little one is 7 months old. And not only have my priorities, of course, changed, but also now my desires. Like I have new passions and desires that have literally birthed, no pun intended, but just because life has taken me on a journey and that's what happens. And so, of course, I'm going to grow as a human, but in that process as well, there's new things that I have an interest in. Like, you know, like I am so down the rabbit hole around breast milk and the powers of breast milk that everyone who follows me on Instagram knows. Whereas Shae, this time last year, being pregnant, I was not trying to figure out like how I'm going to get breast milk from Colorado to Toronto, right? Like, but now it's like something that I'm very, very passionate about. And so again, like you're allowed to not just pivot and change your mind. But I think when you're sharing your story, and nobody can take that away from you, like that is your actual truth. And so that's where your power lies, is that they might have something to say, like you mentioned, and who cares? Because that's just your story. And if you're honest and just sharing, it is what it is. Take it or leave it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I've always done. You know, I will say people come to me all the time and say, thank you for being so transparent. Thank you for being so real, you know, because a lot of times I'm saying things that they're experiencing or feeling, but they're not willing to share that yet. You know, and so it is so powerful to do that, because then you also become relatable to people. You know, it's hard for people to follow perfection because they don't ever see themselves as being that. But when they can follow somebody that they admire, that they trust, that has the life that they're looking for, but they also can say, hey, me too, that's powerful.
Yeah, 100%. So let me ask you this. You've helped thousands of women grow businesses, and majority of them, even I'm sure, also are online as much as they are in person doing events and all that kind of stuff. What would you say are the biggest mistakes that you see women making when they're trying to either grow a business online, but really growth? Like, because I find most people get stuck just before that like 6-figure mark, right? Like there's a plateau, and it's like there's just something they're not doing to push themselves over. But yeah, like what do you see as like those biggest mistakes?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would say it would be a couple things. Number one, as women, we want to be everything for everyone all the time.
Right.
And we want to give it all, right? And I love for women to understand that they can find balance. Like I know balance is like really balanced, but sorry, my son's calling me. I apologize.
No, it's okay. Take it.
Hold on really quick.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, call dad. I'm doing a podcast right now. Thank you. Okay.
So real, Shane. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Real life right there. But no, what I would say is I think women become so hard on themselves. And what I've discovered is usually when somebody's getting started, right, they're really excited. Like they're so excited. They see the vision. They think about it for their family and they want to do it. So they go 100 miles per hour, right? And then suddenly they start to feel like they're not doing enough because maybe the laundry's not getting done, or they feel like they're overwhelmed in life. And then they start comparing themselves. And that's the answer I would tell you is the biggest thing I see women do right before breakthrough, like literally right before things are about to explode for them, is they begin comparing themselves to other people.
Right.
And that immediately is just, it's going to ruin them. It's going to completely be a disaster, because at the end of the day, we are not ever going to be like anyone else but ourselves.
Right.
And so if we are looking at other people and we are comparing our lives and we are suddenly like slowing down because we feel like we're not just like them, well, the reality of it is you are not just like them because you are not them. Mm-hmm. Right. But I always tell women, do you realize that, yes, you might be looking at somebody else and comparing yourself to them, but there is somebody else who's doing that with you. And they're comparing themselves to you. And so when you slow down and you stop, that teaches that woman watching you from the sidelines that she can't do it either. Right. And so sometimes we have to reorganize our priorities, right? There are seasons where I am like in running, I'm like, let's do this, right? And there's other times that it's maybe a little bit slower, and it's like family, obviously family's always first for me, but it's like I've got different priorities and I'm still doing this. But I would say that I've never put that pressure on myself that I can't be excellent at both. Right. Does that make sense? And I think women put so much pressure on themselves that they've got to be perfect at everything, and they don't. Yeah. And they absolutely do not. So comparison and perfection are the two things that I would say, if we can solve those problems, we're going to have so many women making, 6 figures and beyond.
At what point when you like in your growth, because you just brought up like two very important things that I can actually manage, right? Like I can handle that. But also in order to scale, it can't just be a one-person show. Yeah. And most people are afraid to pay and outsource or pay to have systems and structures in place. or they don't know how or like where to like look. And with your journey and your businesses, at what point did you say, okay, I need to duplicate myself and I need to, whether that's a VA, it's an assistant in person, like walk us a little through like those tangible nuggets.
Yeah. So in my first business, my husband actually left medical device sales to come home and do that with me after about 2 years because it had just grown so fast and I needed help. Right. Yeah. So he came home, obviously he focused on the business finances and, the reports and all the behind the scenes things that I didn't necessarily love doing.
Okay.
And so once that company, stopped the business, then he actually became a business broker. All right. So he kind of started his own thing, which is amazing. He's doing great at that. Now coming over here, so in my second business, I really didn't have that. And honestly, it made a huge difference. I was overwhelmed. I wasn't really organized and it showed, right? In this business, however, I actually about 4 months ago, I'm going to admit this, I'm a control freak. And so sometimes me releasing that like to somebody else, it's a control thing for me. But I finally realized in order to grow the way I want to grow, I have no other choice because I can't do it all.
Yeah.
And so I did hire a VA and it has been absolutely amazing for me. I mean, we talk almost every day. She's organized myself. She's doing things for me that I had not even thought about doing, but has made a huge difference. Communicating with customers and other affiliates and things like that, like things that I was missing that make such a difference. And so when I look at the payment side, right, because that was a thing for me too. It was like, well, I mean, I could just stay up like 2 more hours and do it myself, but I was tired. I was exhausted. I was burning myself out. And so in order to be able to pay somebody else and bless them, also for tax purposes, not that I'm a tax professional by any means, but to have an employee, right?
You don't want to, what I call donate to the government more than you need to.
Yep. Exactly. And so to be able to have an employee and just know that she's doing things way better than I ever could, why would I not do that? Yeah. And I look at those things, that's always an investment in your business. I'm not spending that money every month. I'm investing it in my business because my business has exponentially grown since bringing her on. Yeah. And so I waited far too long to do that, far too long. Again, it was a control thing. So I would say women, if you are having that issue where you are, you're an entrepreneur and you have things that you're scared to let control of, right? Because you think you can just do everything. I want to give you that like freedom to say like, you can. You have to find the right person that you can trust and all those things, but there gets to a point where if you don't have help, you cannot grow because there's not enough time.
Totally.
And that's what I had to finally decide.
Mm-hmm. And also it allows you to stay in your zone of genius, which is where your passion is. And you don't start draining your energy doing the things that you don't love doing. And that's actually the distraction, never mind outside, but it becomes the distraction inside your own ecosystem where you're doing, like, for me, I hate admin stuff or like website stuff. And it's not my language either, right? Like it's like Chinese.
It's same thing.
Even though they have like now like Wix.com and Square, what's the one? Squarespace, whatever,
Squarespace,
right?
I think Squarespace, yeah.
There's so many, or Show It, like there's so many of these user-friendly websites and they are more user-friendly. But seriously, I have still spent time where I'm like, why am I doing this? This is not, I need to have somebody else who's going to do what would take me an hour or two. Mm-hmm. And they'll do it in 20 minutes or less. Absolutely. And that you can, and especially now being a parent, I can reinvest that time with my children. I said children, I only have one child. I don't know if that's professional. I know. I'm like, what does that mean? No, I'm not pregnant. So yeah, I'm not like, no, I'm not pregnant. There's only one child.
Only one for now. Yeah.
I was thinking of you, Abby. I was thinking of your children.
Yes. Okay, fine.
You're able to reinvest that rather than even you just saying, I'll just stay up 1 extra hour. It's like, I can get 1 extra hour with like my kids or like date time with my hubby, right? Like which when you're the best version of yourself, which I'm sure your family fills you up.
Yes.
You actually will earn more because you're showing up as a better version of yourself for the rest of the world.
Absolutely. My heart always is mentoring people. And I'm just like you, like, tell me to do a website and my eyes are going to cross, like not going to happen. Right. Or I'm going to sit there for 5 hours and never accomplish anything. Yeah. And so, I say work in your strengths. And for me, that's mentoring people. I love mentoring people, helping women build their businesses, be strategic, figure out what do we need to do to the next level, bring on new people and give them that vision of what they can do with this. Like that is my heart.
Yeah.
So why would I want to spin my wheels doing weekly emails and all those kind of things when that's her wheelhouse? It's necessary. It's necessary to communicate,
100%.
but I don't need to do that. And so I've realized that what it's done for me is definitely freed up time, but it's freed up the time for me to do where I'm excellent and what's going to really build my business. And so, I would tell people like, don't do it. I mean, obviously, if you're making no money right now and you're not that busy, that's one thing. But if you are getting to the point where you're feeling a little bit like, holy cow, there's a lot going on, bring somebody on who can be your assistant because you're going to grow so much faster.
100%. And I mean, in your own business, you also need to know all of the areas of your business in order to know who to hire, what to hire for, and also what a good qualified person could look like. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, especially if you have no money coming into your business. That's not what you should be doing. You're not at that point yet, but you got to, in the beginning, you're saying yes to all the things. You're doing all of the things, but as you grow, you got to learn to outsource in order to still be able to scale and grow bigger.
Absolutely.
I needed to pause just for a quick second. If you are loving this conversation and thinking every woman needs to hear this, you are right. So please hit that subscribe button, drop me a review, and help me flood the algorithm with real talk that actually matters. Let's get more women into their wealthy era together. Your support means so much to me. You're a mom of 2, yes, right? And still you've got businesses that you've built, even your husband, with his company. What boundaries do you have in place to safeguard and protect the family? Because you can always, as an entrepreneur, most people are always on, right? Like phones are going off late at night, first thing in the morning, checking emails. Most people roll out of bed and that's the first thing they look at is this device. And I would love to know what are some of your boundaries that you have implemented to safeguard that which is sacred to you.
Well, it's funny you say that. So with my first company, I think because I was just so hungry, my husband used to say to me whoa, you're not a trauma surgeon. You don't have to respond right away, and that's just my personality. I am somebody that if you're going to send me a message, I'm probably going to get right back to you. And if I don't, text me again in an hour because I forgot, right? That's just kind of my personality. But I've definitely over the years had to realize the importance of putting your phone down and the importance of letting people understand that they too can figure it out themselves, right? If you're there all the time, they never have to learn it themselves because they know they can just go to you. So, during my daughter's a cheerleader, cheer competitions or times that we're just having family time or whatever, my phone's away. Yeah. I'm not responding. I really try Sundays. I really try to just kind of turn it off on Sundays because I really do believe that you need to have that day just to kind of chill out and re-energize yourself.
Yeah.
Family dinners and things like that. I put my phone away. So I really have learned very much that I don't have to get back to people immediately, and again, I still try to, because I love what I do and all of that, but I was doing it in this way of desperation of if I don't do this, my business is going to fall apart. Right. And that's not the case. One of the best things that you can do for people is let them learn it on their own. I always sit back and think to myself and think, well, I never had somebody who just responded like that to me. I had to learn it. And so I was enabling people because I was always just on for them all the time. And it can wear you out. And so, I just, you have to do this for the long haul. And you've got to, I always say people always try to talk about in our industry, this time freedom. Don't talk time freedom if you're not living time freedom.
No kidding.
And so don't tell somebody they can have that if you're not doing that and you're just saying it. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've really had to get really good at. And I would say I actually am the best I've ever been right now with that. I feel like my business is better than I've ever had it. And I'm more aligned with when I'm on and when I'm not. And that's been really powerful.
Notifications on or off?
Off all the time.
Okay, me too.
All the time.
Because always on silent.
Yes, because my phone's always on silent. I'm oh gosh, hopefully nothing really happens. But because I do check it, right? And so I'll get to them. But if my phone's constantly going off, That's creating anxiety for me.
So much anxiety.
So, and it's unnecessary. So like right now, my phone is over, right? It's turned over right now. I don't know what's happening because guess what? They're going to be okay when I get back to them in 30 minutes. Yeah. They're going to be okay.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know if you experience this. I think if you are like us and you don't have notifications on your phone, like your phone's always on silent, I get anxiety. Like when I'm with somebody, I've actually had to be like, do you mind to just silence your phone? Like it gives me
totally
so much. I'm like, I don't know how you function like that. And it removes you from the present of whoever you're with as well, whether that's your kid, if you're out for a business dinner, a friendship dinner, you're with friends, that thing steals your attention.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I always love asking entrepreneurs that because everyone says something different. You know, they're not all like silence, no notifications. One of the features in Gmail actually that happened probably, I think 4 years ago now that I love is you can actually set your inbox to pause at a certain time. So you can structure it to say like after 7 p.m., for example, you won't see any more emails coming into your inbox so that if you were to check your phone, okay, because some of us would still have that habit to like check your phone, that you wouldn't have the anxiety or the need to respond to emails because nothing's coming into your inbox. Then at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m., however you want to schedule it, it would turn back on and then your inbox would just be filled with whatever came in from 7 p.m. to 9 a.m. or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And even that I've employed. I don't always do it, but there was a period of my life where I was trying to create some further boundaries for myself. And I needed that because it was like still, even though I have my phones on silent, still was like checking it. And then, I'm like, I got to get back to that. And I'm like, no, Shae, you don't need to do that. So I took it a further measure. I was like, I think I did mine after 8 p.m. It was like until 8 a.m. the next morning. It was like, nah. So even if I rolled over in the morning and happened to look at my phone, it's still like, ooh, like,
yes, like, I am good. And the same thing goes with my phone. So, I have my notifications off, but so if maybe you're like a mom or whatever, you're like, yes, but what if my kids call? You can set it up just like my son just called and you heard it.
Yep.
But I have it so my daughter, my husband, or my son, if they call me, that will ring. Right. And so I have it set up that way because obviously I don't want to miss their phone calls, but for everyone else, you're going to voicemail.
Yeah, exactly. And even it's funny that you just said voicemail. If you call my phone, I tell you, I don't even check my voicemails. Like I'm like, who listens to voicemails anymore? And now it's evolved a bit where it's like your voicemails go to text or like transcribing. And so you'll see it or you'll hear it. But last year when we didn't have that through iPhones, you would call me and I would tell you, if it's an emergency, make sure to email or text me because I don't know when I'll actually hear your voicemail. I'm like, I'm not checking voicemail.
Totally. No, I'm with you. I'm the same exact way. I'm like, I don't answer voicemail. Sorry about that.
Yeah, literally. But, and again, it's one other, and it sounds funny in some ways, but it's actually one more structure that's actually a boundary for yourself where you're not needing to go and check all of these different places to try to find, because we have everything between text and WhatsApp and emails and DMs in Instagram or all these socials. It's like, we don't need one more thing to check. So it's like, if you don't want to do that, just tell people you're not doing it. That's simple. If they need to get a hold of you, they will, including the IRS or CRA.
Exactly. They're going to find a way.
They will find a way. Trust me, they will find you, because I've had people say that to me. Well, what if the government calls you? I'm like, let them listen. It's not my problem. They don't listen to your voicemail. Trust me, if you owe them money, they will come and find you.
They're going to find you. I promise.
No need to worry. I love it. So, okay, Abby, I want to shift just like a little bit. Obviously, part of the Wealthy CEO is the wellness component. And that's another reason why I was excited to have you on today, because you're such a powerhouse woman who's built wealth in business, and also you're doing that through wellness. Mm. And I would love to dive into the peptide world, because I know it's a buzzword. Yes. I've shared with you offline a bit of my story, which, we could share that a little bit too, but I would love for you to just I feel like, again, it's like this buzzword that nobody really knows unless you're really in the biohacking health space. Then, of course, you know what peptides are. But can you give us the English non-sciencey version? Because
Yes.
again, people are going to be like, that's like Chinese. You don't understand websites. I don't understand science. Okay. So in the English way, share with us what are peptides? And then like, what do people need to really understand about them?
Absolutely. So peptides are short chain, branch chain amino acids. And so for the sciencey person or non-sciencey person, they might be like, I don't even know what you just said. All right. But so peptides are very specific with where they're working. So one way I like to describe it is as we get older, we start to like lose areas of our DNA, right? We start to notice that we're aging and all of those different things. So if you can think about it, like your DNA is a lock. All right. So it locks down, the peptide comes in and unlocks the lock.
Okay.
All right. That's how I can best describe it. So there's peptides for so many different areas because again, they speak directly to where they need to. They're cell signaling. All right. So they're going to speak directly to where you need them to be working. So there's so many different peptides out there. You know, the traditional peptide that most people are going to hear about and are familiar with are more synthetic peptides. All right. Those are going to be ones where you inject them. They're made in a lab. They're synthetic. They do work, right? They do work. Now, what we have, and with the company I have, we have what's called bioactive precision peptides. And what that means is that these are nature derived and they are ingested, not injected. Okay. So they're 100% from nature. And so there's billions of peptides out there. People will say to me, well, I take this like collagen peptide. Is that the same thing? And I'm like, no. You know, I describe it almost like cars, right? How many cars are there out there?
Right.
So yes, you may drive a car, much like take a peptide, but there's a difference of a 78 Honda Civic versus a McLaren, right? So it's like completely different. And I explain it that way to people a lot to make them understand. So our peptides, again,
to work really quick, in case you're not a car person, which I am, I love the McLaren F1s. But if you're not a McLaren, like if you're like, what is now even a McLaren? We'll just throw in saying a Porsche or like one of the higher end BMWs, Ferrari. Yes. Okay.
I don't even know why I used McLaren. I don't
know. I literally just fell in love with you more. I'm like, gosh, this girl's from Colorado. And she just said McLaren.
I have no idea where that came from, but it's fine. It's fine.
I love that. But I'm like, I might have lost a couple people.
Ferrari. We'll go with Ferrari. There we go. Everyone knows a Ferrari. Yeah. So they're very different. So ours, like I said, are from nature. They went into nature actually with AI to discover where can they find the specific peptides to work for specific things, whether that be weight loss, muscle strength, just calming yourself down, energy, focus, all of those things. It's really incredible how these products work.
Yeah. So, okay. Like, and you did just allude to some of it. And I'm like a huge proponent of all things natural, chemical free, toxic free, like functional medicine. There is a time where the West can meet Eastern medicine. There's a time and a place for that. And that's not to outrule it. But I always believe you should start the natural process, and your body is a machine. It is designed to heal. It wants to heal. And so when you bring in the natural substances to support your body, it's like, thank you so much. This is like what I need, right? There's like an algorithm that they understand because it's of nature. What would you say are, the main recommendations for people, like who should take peptides and like, what are they being used for? Because, the biggest one, and I think, we're not even going to go down this topic of the injectables, but, I think there's most people that are going after using things like Ozempic, which is totally not at all what this is, to weight loss. Like most people are learning about peptides to lose weight. And there's so many other things where you like hormonal shifts and bringing your body back into like balance, right? Like when you think about your hormones or reversing burnout and fatigue in the body. So walk us through some of that. Like what type of peptides are available with Make Wellness that you have for people?
Yeah, so we have 6 different products. 4 of our products are peptide based, and 2 of them are more components that are going to help the peptides work even better. Okay. And so much like you just said, a lot of people remember when they think of a peptide, they think of Ozempic, right? And we're not going down that.
I don't even want to like,
I
stalled saying that. I was like, do I even want to say that? But
no, you're fine. I think it's fine. I mean, that's reality, right? Most people, that's what they're thinking of. Now, the problem with that, and I'm going to reference this because it'll all come together, but the problem with Ozempic, I'm not even going to get into the medical stuff, but it does target your muscle. So when you are taking that and you are losing weight, it is a fact that is actually eating at your muscle,
right?
Which is actually very scary for aging, purposes, right? So our product, we have, like I said, 4 peptide products. And so the 2 I recommend to people for like that muscle strength and that weight loss would be our lean and our fit product. Okay. So lean is going to be 2 capsules that you take every day. What it basically does is it's going to help with your cravings. It's going to help with overeating. The average person with that product eats 600 less calories a day. And that's not because we want to be in a calorie deficit. That's not what the point. The point is, think about it. People who are working from home or stay-at-home moms, they're grabbing goldfish, they're grabbing this, and they're eating these calories that they're not even realizing. It doesn't seem like a big deal. So lean is allowing you to like not want to do that. Okay. 100% of the weight loss from that product was from fat and not muscle.
Okay.
So that was a huge,
hello.
That's what you want. Exactly. Now our fit product, okay, that's going to be a drink. I actually just finished mine right here. It's an orange flavor. It's delicious. I love it. But that's going to help with your strength. Okay. So it's equivalent to taking 4 times a whey protein right there. Exactly.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yay. So yeah, it's equivalent to taking 4 times a whey protein. So it's going to help with muscle recovery. It's going to help with muscle strength. I will tell you, my husband started taking these products in November. So our company actually started a pre-launch in November shipping products. Now, my husband's been on products since 2012. I've always been in the health and wellness industry with supplementation. Okay. He's always like looked good, worked out, whatever, but there was never a true like transition. He starts these in November and come about like February time. I'm like he's putting on like more muscle. Okay. I kid you not. By June, we went to Mexico for my son's senior trip, and at least 8 guys were stopping him going, dude, what do you do? You're ripped. Like it was crazy. And it's the only difference is he's been implementing the lean and the fit and then taking our hydrate product, which is a great assistance product. Because if you're not right, oh my God, it's so good. I love it. Because if you're not hydrated with peptides, they don't absorb well. So hydrate is actually really important to take to help with the absorption of peptides. And it's been a night and day difference. And so even for myself, I'm 44. I know you were asking in the beginning.
You don't even look it. So there you go.
And I will tell you, my abs are better than they have been in years. Like I've got more muscle definition. Like I feel better in my skin right now than I have in, I don't even know when. And again, it's because of these incredible products, because it's getting back in there and it's unlocking that DNA that was shutting down.
Well, I feel like you're speaking my love language, and it is so important. Hydration just in general, not even just like for peptides, but if you're not hydrated, your body can't absorb even the nutrients from your food properly.
Exactly.
Right? And the quality of your water, if you listen to my podcast, I probably every 3 podcasts, I drop something about the quality of your water because it matters. If you're drinking tap water, stop. It's so bad, filled with toxins and chemicals, and no wonder why you're still dehydrated, because you are not only not getting hydrated, but you have toxins that you keep putting into your body, but the quality of your water matters. And when you're able to support good pH, high pH water that is clean and good with proper hydration, like you said, your absorption with everything is just going to start to feel better with eating. Hopefully you're eating grass-fed, organic as much as possible, but eating high quality food tied with high quality products.
Yep.
Right? Again, this is why I first reached out to you guys. And people don't even know my story on that. I'll say really quick, Abby didn't find me. I found her indirectly through another girl that I follow on Instagram who I have a lot of respect for. We have the same values when it comes to belief of God first, family, work, and also just our health decisions are completely aligned. And those of you who know me know exactly what I mean when I say that, and then some. And so I reached out to her to say, I did not have a good experience with peptides. I did the injectables. And even though here they were as natural as they could get, I said, it's been over 2 years. I'm interested. I'm postpartum 7 months now. At the time, it was 6 months. And I need to bring my own body back. And so that's why I say, like, as you talk about you and your husband's experience, like, I'm like, I feel like you're speaking my like love language, because this is what my body needs right now, just to restore, bring on the muscle that I've lost, starting to see some changes in my body happening as well. And I will say, and again, this isn't medical advice, I'm not a doctor. You should, of course, always speak with the person that you seek medical advice from, whoever that is, to go through the ingredients of all of the products. And there are some that right now can't work for me because I am breastfeeding. Yep. But the hydration and the fit I can use. Lean, I'm choosing to not, just because it's, for me personally, from what I've read, in breastfeeding, I'm just going to hold off for a bit, but yeah. I am going to give it to my partner. So we do have that. I did buy the kit. That was the the muscle metabolic one. So I can't wait to see his abs coming through. So I can't wait to report back, and you can follow me on Instagram, and of course, Abby as well, because I'm going to be documenting my journey, using this stuff. So, I love that this was part of your transformation that you guys saw.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I have never felt this good. And, people might be like, okay, it's your business. Of course you're saying that. No, genuinely, I wake up excited to take the products. My son's 19, he's leaving for college, and he asks every day for the products. And that's not what a 19-year-old usually does. But he sees the power of the products and can feel them. So it's been a game changer for everybody. And it's amazing to finally have products that are good for you. They're natural. Like, that's so important to me. And they work. And that it makes me so excited. We have other products as well that are not necessarily for the weight loss or muscle strength, but more about helping you with focus. Mm-hmm. So helping people who have the ADHD, much like myself, where they feel like a squirrel, and it helps them focus. It helps remove the blue light that we're all getting from our phones and computers. It's incredible. We have a product called Calm that's going to help with lowering cortisol levels, relaxing you. So if you're starting to feel uptight, like, you take that and you're like, whew, or you getting ready for bed, like, you're just like, okay, I'm relaxed, right? And then our other one is Energized, and that's going to be a peptide product to help with energy. But that one's also going to help with dopamine, with cortisol levels. And it's an amazing, amazing product. So we've got products truly for everything. I always say, internally and externally, we have something for you.
So, and again, I love, this is part of, again, why I reached out to you guys, because I'm like, the whole package is there. You don't need to be like, oh, I'm going to get this from here, and then I have to go find what else I need from somewhere else. Right. I have been a part of different companies selling as well, but never as a business. It's always just been like healthy nut, chemical free, toxic free. And so naturally I use the oils, I use all kinds of stuff. And as you know, there's many companies that will say that they're clean, they're safe, they're sourcing. And yet when you go to their website, it's, it's worded in such a way, like using words like eco, right? Like, I hate the word eco-friendly. That's like a fancy way to say we still have chemicals for the most part in our products. Exactly. But as long as we say eco, nobody will question it. Okay. So, and that's just one example. And of course, I feel like I have to say a disclaimer. Not every company that says eco means they still have chemicals in their product. Okay, guys, I said that. But that's just one example. There's the point. I would love for you just to, not too much time, just take like a minute to share how Make Wellness is different, because when you do land on the website, there's a lot of transparency stuff that is going on. But for people listening, that this might make their decision make or break to go visit the website or not. Can you just share a little bit, like, what is the differential around safety sourcing for you guys?
Yeah. So I've been, like I said, with a few different companies, and truly, I've always been into health. I've always been into organic and all of those things, right? Like, even before I was in health and wellness. But there was, every company I went to prior to this, there was always something in the ingredients that I was like, and that would hold me back, because I was like, I genuinely don't believe that's a good ingredient, totally. And so that was hard. It was really, really hard for me. But yet I didn't know of any other company that truly had a product that worked, that didn't have something like that in there. Yeah. With Make Wellness, what's amazing is you can go to our website and you can see our never list. And we have a list of all of the ingredients I've ever been hesitant of, and some I didn't even realize that they'll never be in our products, ever, 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 ever. And so what I love is that, holistic practitioners are looking at these ingredients and going, absolutely incredible. I've some of the pickiest people, my sister's one of them, pickiest people when it comes to ingredients. And she's like, it's amazing. It's amazing. So the great thing about that is I genuinely, there's not one single ingredient or one single product I hesitate to share, which is so powerful for me because I've never had that because there's never been anything like that.
Yeah, I love that. So, and I'm going to link everything up here in the show notes so that you can check it out for yourself. And if you have questions, obviously Abby's DMs are open. Mine are open as well. If you have questions around like peptides or like getting started. But I think what this company is doing, and I'm like brand new, like in trying them out. But you guys are literally making history right now in the health and wellness space. It's just exploded over the past year in a non-trendy way. Like we said earlier, there's been a lot of shiny things. You will see that this company is just going to get bigger and it's being built to last because of the transparency, the science-backed, the natural, everything that's natural that's happening in the company. So I think it's pretty incredible. And if people don't know about it, you definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like I said, network marketing, I've been in this space. I believe in network marketing. I love network marketing. I'll shout it from the rooftops because I know what it can do for people. I know you asked me a little earlier as far as like, that perception and kind of that bad, tone or whatever. Yeah. And I think that the reason why that's happened is because, anyone can sign up. Anyone can sign up for a company, right? Either there's a low fee to sign up or it's a free to sign up. And people do that. They post about it for a week and a half. They're not a multimillionaire and they decide to quit. And that has given that negative connotation, right? Or they go in with expectations that didn't become reality for them. And suddenly it's not their fault, it's the company's fault. Right. And so I always tell people, don't listen to those people. Like listen to the people who have actually found the success, right? And I truly believe in anything. I used to tell people all the time, they would say, oh, is it one of those, pyramid things? And I would give them this example. My husband was in medical device sales and there was the CEO and then there was area vice presidents and then there was regional managers and then there was the sales reps. And guess what? If the sales reps made a sale, it rolled up to everybody. And so the same thing goes for this business, right? Like we mentor people, right? We help them build businesses and in return, we're getting compensated for that. And there's nothing wrong with that, So I love the industry. I think it's the most incredible industry out there. And specifically Make Wellness, I was at a point prior to Make Wellness where I did think I was probably done with the industry because I was like, maybe I just didn't have anything that just got me excited. And I can tell you that I've never seen anything like this from the corporate team to just the products, the compensation, but the growth specifically. A lot of new companies do what's called a pop and drop, right? They start off, they're really hot and then they just fall off and you never hear from them again. Yeah. For us, that's not happening, right? We are growing every single month because of the fact that we're doing it in the right way. We've got incredible products and we've got the platform that people want. Exactly. And so in June alone, we just pre-launched products in November. All right. We officially launched in March. That was like our official launch, March 30th or 31st. And in June, we did over $10 million in sales as a brand new company, which is wild. It's unheard of. It really is. And so that's what's happening here. And, it's one of those things where it's going to be a household name. Everyone's going to want Make Wellness. Everyone's going to know about it. And so I tell people, now is that time that you find that thing, and if you've been looking for a way to create extra income or a plan B income or any of those things, like this is the opportunity that you've been looking for. So don't just watch it, get in on it now.
Totally. I love that. Okay. So this actually goes in line with like your mantra and kind of as we like wrap things up a little bit. I feel like you and I could just literally talk for another hour, which I might just need to have you come back on and we can do like part 2. One of your mantras anyways is dream one size too big, which is kind of what you just are saying to people like right now is like, to go for it. So what would you say to the woman with that in mind? I know, but what would you say to the woman who's playing small right now?
Yeah. Number one, I would ask that person, what's holding them back? What's that fear inside of them? What's that lie that they're telling themselves for why they can't step out? And I would really try to dive in and figure out what that was, because if we can remove that, right, we can start moving forward. And then I would also encourage that person to take some time and write a dream list. And honestly, just in quiet, I don't want kids around. I don't want a husband around. I like put your earphones in and just start writing a dreams list of everything that you want in life. And I remember specifically doing this when I first got started in the industry. I was in kind of this training thing, and they said, write down like all the things that you want in life, but write down next to them all the things you want gone, like all the daily annoyances that you want gone. And I was like, well, I can fill that list up just fine. But like dreaming, we're just trying to make it through the day. Right. And I did that. And I really took it seriously. And I was writing down things I never thought would happen. Right. Like a Disney cruise, a Disney trip with my kids, a Mercedes that I wanted, finishing our basement, no more debt, like my husband coming home, all these things. Right. So anyway, I put that list away. And about 3 years later, I happened to find it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And when I opened it, most of the things on that dream list had happened, from the car in my driveway to we had just gotten back from that trip with my kids. We were finishing our basement. And what happened was when I started writing down those dreams, it unlocked this piece of me that was like, you don't have to hold back. What you just put on that list can be reality, but remove the lies. Like you can do it. You are capable. You're going to hear no's. Get over it. Right? Like and I just started really believing that. So I would tell that person, write the dream list, really identify what is holding you back truly, like truly what's holding you back. And when you can do that, you're unstoppable.
I love that. Oh, so powerful and so good. Abby, thank you for being here today. Like, I feel like that's such a strong closing,
Well, thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. I'm sorry.
Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. It's just at kindly. So KINDLY _ Abby, ABBY. But yeah, find me there. Message me if you ever need, some mindset stuff. That's my favorite thing in the world. If you have questions on anything, I love connecting with people. So you can find me there at kindly _ Abby.
Love it. And we're going to put all in the show notes as well. So you can find it there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me today. It's been so much fun.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Okay.
Is it me or was that episode fire? We talked strategy, soul, and straight talk from a woman who's actually walking the walk. If you're feeling lit up, don't keep this episode to yourself. Please share it, tag us, and let us know what your biggest takeaway was. And if you want the links, tools, or any of the peptide goodness that we were talking about today, it's all waiting for you in the show notes. Until next time, stay bold, stay wealthy, and never shrink your vision to fit in the room. If something in today's episode resonated with you or sparked a shift, tag me on IG or send me a DM. I genuinely love hearing what lands for you. And if it spoke to you, share it or leave a quick review. It helps more women find this show and step into their own wealthy era. Until next time, lead with purpose, live with intention, and stay wealthy.